Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Hub. Today's report focuses on what many are calling one of the most decisive and historic confirmations ever seen within the global currency and asset space. Everyone watching needs to stay locked in, because what we're covering today has the potential to reshape long-standing expectations and permanently redefine timelines that investors have tracked for years. We are now witnessing a shift that moves well beyond speculation and firmly into the realm of formal regulatory authorization. Over the past several months, the community has been flooded with rumors, unofficial leaks, and intense debate over whether real progress was actually taking place behind the scenes. That uncertainty has now been replaced by clarity following the release of the most recent government gazette. This official publication acts as formal validation of the full redemption process, transitioning the discussion from hypothetical theory into acknowledged, authorized reality. This is not a casual online post or an unverified claim circulating on social media. It is an official statement of record released through the government's primary regulatory publishing channel, marking a clear turning point for holders of approved assets. The importance of this confirmation cannot be overstated, especially when considering the credibility of the platform used to release it. A government gazette functions as the formal legal record of state action, meaning any information published within it carries full legal authority and regulatory enforceability. By documenting the redemption framework in this format, authorities have taken the process out of informal discussion and placed it firmly into the public administrative record. For investors who have navigated years of ambiguity and second-hand information, this introduces a firm foundation of legitimacy that was previously missing. This publication does far more than simply acknowledge that a process exists. It establishes that the entire operational structure has been finalized and approved for execution. For years, those classified within Tier 4B have remained in a holding pattern, relying on fragmented updates and interpretation. The Gazette confirmation fundamentally alters that status. It confirms that verification protocols, compliance reviews, and interagency validation checks have already been completed. This indicates that banks and authorized exchange centers now have the formal authorization to align their internal systems with this newly public legal framework. The document confirms that the financial architecture required to handle a redemption of this scale is fully synchronized, approved, and ready for real-world functionality. For Iraqi Dinar holders, this update represents a substantial forward movement that validates years of patience. Many investors endured criticism and skepticism from observers who did not understand the complexity of a global currency redemption process. This confirmation reinforces that the planning was deliberate, extensive, and methodical. It proves that this was never an impulsive or disorderly undertaking but rather a carefully engineered financial operation requiring precise timing and regulatory alignment. The official acknowledgement now shifts the narrative from questioning whether it would happen to understanding how and when the final execution will unfold. To fully grasp the weight of today's development, it's important to understand what the Tier 4B designation represents. This category is among the most tightly controlled and regulated segments within the global financial framework. Participants in this tier have often already passed multiple verification stages to establish asset legitimacy. The Gazette's confirmation validates not only the assets but the entire support system built to manage them. It confirms that long-term compliance efforts were intentional and necessary, designed specifically to prepare for this moment. What once existed as theory has now become an actionable, government-backed process with undeniable credibility. The timing of this publication is equally instructive. Regulatory authorities do not place sensitive operational details into a government gazette without full internal readiness. This release signals that legal approvals, banking coordination, infrastructure testing, and international cooperation have reached full alignment. Such synchronization suggests that months or years of preparation have reached their culmination. Financial systems of this scale must be thoroughly stress-tested and compliance validated before authorization. The fact that this process is now officially published strongly indicates that those requirements have been satisfied and the system is prepared to handle what comes next. For holders of the Iraqi Dinar, This may be the most concrete signal to date that the long-anticipated transition is now underway. The confirmation suggests that operational infrastructure is shifting from standby mode to active readiness. Scheduling systems are likely being activated and banks are moving into defined operational roles, while specific appointment details will be distributed through official channels. The Gazette makes it clear that the waiting phase is ending and the execution phase is beginning. This shift requires investors to mentally transition from patience to preparedness. Considering the investor journey, the emotional impact of this moment is significant. Some entered this space many years ago without any visible governmental framework in place, while others joined later as developments emerged. Regardless of timing, the uncertainty weighed heavily. For many, this was not merely financial speculation but a personal test of conviction. The Gazette confirmation delivers what has long been absent: certainty. Legitimacy is now documented, and official backing has been publicly affirmed. Investors can now focus on actionable preparation rather than speculation. Moving forward, discipline and organization are critical. The Gazette outlines the redemption as a comprehensive, structured, legally authorized process. It is not described as a partial rollout or experimental exchange but as a full implementation intended to convert approved Tier 4B assets at assigned values. This will occur in phases with scheduled appointments to ensure control, accuracy, and compliance. Banks will follow strict procedures, and investors must adhere to instructions precisely. Preparation is no longer optional. For those holding physical Iraqi dinar, the implications are especially important. Authenticity and condition verification are central requirements for banks. Every note must be genuine, legally sourced, and properly preserved. When appointments commence, banks will inspect security features, serial numbers, and physical condition. The Gazette authorizes institutions to perform these examinations formally. Investors should ensure notes are organized, flat, clean, and protected to facilitate efficient verification. Digital asset holders classified within Tier 4B are equally affected. These investors rely on electronic verification rather than physical notes. Banks will cross-reference account identifiers, confirmation numbers, and digital records against internal ledgers. With authorization now public, banking systems are likely syncing to receive these validations. Investors should secure access credentials, ensure documentation backups, and organize confirmations to avoid delays. Security remains a dominant theme throughout this confirmation. Any large-scale, cross-border financial operation demands strict protection protocols. The Gazette confirms that advanced security systems will be enforced at every stage. Official communications will come exclusively through regulated channels. This is also a moment when scams may increase, making vigilance essential. No legitimate process requires third-party fees or early access offers. Psychologically, this confirmation provides stabilization. Years of uncertainty created emotional strain, and the oscillation between hope and doubt was exhausting. The Gazette places the process on solid ground, allowing stress caused by ambiguity to dissipate. This mental readiness is as important as documentation preparation, as investors must approach the final stages calmly and professionally. The public nature of this confirmation also elevates its global significance. A government Gazette publication is visible to international banks, regulators, and analysts. This transparency strengthens credibility and counters arguments questioning legitimacy. What once existed on the fringe is now part of the formal global financial narrative. Regarding scheduling, expectations must remain realistic. Appointments will be communicated directly by authorized institutions and likely rolled out in phases. This measured approach protects system stability. Every verified participant will be addressed in order. Speed is not the goal, order and security are. Documentation preparation is now the immediate priority. Valid identification, proof of residence, and asset records should be organized. Physical currency holders should sort notes, while digital holders should prepare printed backups. Thorough preparation minimizes delays and rescheduling risks. During appointments, investors should expect a multi-layer process including identity verification, asset authentication, and compliance review. Security measures such as controlled environments and documentation logs are standard practice. These steps are designed to protect all parties involved. Banks themselves are now shifting into execution mode. Systems have been updated, staff trained, and procedures finalized. Accuracy is paramount. Investor preparedness directly contributes to operational efficiency during this historic event. Post-redemption planning is equally important. Sudden financial change requires discipline. Investors should avoid impulsive decisions and seek professional guidance. Long-term stability should be the focus. Misinformation remains a risk. Only trust communication from official financial institutions. There are no shortcuts or paid access routes. Discipline is essential in this phase. The transparency demonstrated through this Gazette sets a positive precedent. It affirms governmental commitment and reinforces trust. The process is no longer hidden and is now fully governed by law. As final preparations continue, investors should double-check documentation and secure assets, replace missing records and backup digital files. Preparation reduces stress and ensures efficiency. Coordination between institutions is intensifying. Investors should follow instructions precisely and remain patient. The waiting that remains is logistical, not uncertain. This moment sets a global standard. The Iraqi dinar has reached a point of official recognition, and the world is watching. The system is active. Authorization is confirmed, and the process is moving forward. Stay prepared, stay informed, trust the official process. This is Iraqi Dinar Hub signing off.